Welcome to Medical Intuition Illuminated, the podcast bringing light to the wisdom of the body. I'm your host, Laura Wise, a medical intuitive and psychic medium dedicated to helping you understand the subtle and layered ways your body communicates. Here, we explore the meeting point of intuition, physiology, and energy, approaching the body not as a puzzle to fix, but as a wise, expressive system that's always speaking. This podcast is for informational and educational purposes only. It is not medical advice, and it does not replace professional healthcare, diagnosis, or treatment. Always consult a qualified healthcare provider for any medical concerns. This episode contains a real medical intuition session. All participants are anonymous, and any identifying details have been edited out to protect privacy. All right, well, welcome. So before we get started, I just wanted to add my disclaimer, and that is that I'm not a licensed medical practitioner. And so while we'll be talking about the body and the energy of the body, I will never be diagnosing. I won't be saying that I can cure anything. I'm not going to be talking about any named conditions or disorders unless it's something that you bring up and you want to look at the energy of. What we're going to be doing instead is kind of going through the different organ systems and talking about how they're energetically operating individually and holistically across the body. Along those lines, I may bring up some things around recommendations for food, supplements, practices or practitioners or tests, things like that. I do all of that with the caveat that you check in with your own personal care team before making any changes to your routine. Okay. Great. And do I have before we get started, do I have your permission to read you and your energy and your body today?
Yes.
Okay, beautiful. All right, let me go ahead and get started and reach out my energy to you. I'm going to start at the top of the head, but even before I'm getting there, you're such a bright light. It's so beautiful. It's just like you really live in the essence of love. Like love is so fully present in your field. And that it's so beautiful, and that can be challenging too, in just that outpouring of love, but mostly it's beautiful. But it's definitely also want to acknowledge that can be its own thing to carry, right? But I love the way that you've cultivated your energy. That's so incredible. So starting at the top of the head, a lot of the times the first information that really comes in is kind of how your mind works and sometimes how you receive intuitive information. And it's immediate, like you live in it all the time. You're in the soup, as I call it, right? Like it's just, you're getting information constantly. You're having a conversation with the universe. It's not something that you turn on and off. It's just constantly present, right? They're pulling me into the ears, and I don't know if you get those like high-pitched ringing noises a lot, but they're showing me that that's really present for you. And sound in general is really powerful for you. Does that resonate?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. That you're sensitive to your sonic environment. And you also, do you do singing? Do you do any kind of singing or music?
I do sound healing, and I do breath work, and I create playlists that are very, emotionally evocative.
Got it. So it's very present for you. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, it's and they're also showing me like your voice with combination with that, right? So it's like it's the sound and the voice kind of blending together is really creates this third thing that's magical, right? So that's really and they're showing me how much work that you've done on cultivating your voice, because that's something that in your childhood or in your young adulthood that wasn't a safe space to be a lot of the time, as to express your voice. And so they're really showing the careful consideration that you've done with that, and still how carefully you use your voice, how considerate you are with your expression of that. And almost to the point where sometimes you get sore throats or something when it's too much, right? Or when there's like a doubt thing that happens, and then it's almost like your voice closes up and your throat
Yeah.
closes up. Does this make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel, I feel that.
Yeah. And it will sometimes even show up as in your lymph as well. Like your lymph will start to get swollen, especially
Yeah.
when because you have to be very careful about how much you're expressing, right? And you want to overgive. You're an overgiver. So
Yeah.
it's sometimes having boundaries around that voice. That's your body creating a boundary for you when you're giving you too much energy away. Does this make
Okay.
sense? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and they're pulling me immediately into your chest because they want to show me also just how that's reflected in your heart, and the connection between your voice and your heart is so strong. So you really are
Mm.
speaking directly from the heart, and you've learned to not doubt that. You have to really kind of like let that energy flow, which is really beautiful. And yeah. So it's almost sometimes hard to keep it contained in your body. It's like it wants to kind of vibrate out all the time, and you almost have to do a lot of work. They're almost even showing like in the middle of the night, it'll almost like wake you up, this like energy that's coming out of you. Does this make sense? It's almost
Oh,
like, or it's hard to get to sleep. There's something around sleep and
yeah.
like, just so
Yeah.
much energy coming out. And they're showing like a
Yeah.
lot of ideas. Are you having a lot of ideas about things right now about how like, yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes I'm like, oh my goodness, like, what do I pick? How do I choose? How do I, and how do I time it? And
Mhm. Yeah. And
yeah.
it's, because I think it's like ideas often come from the ether, right? And it's like who's tuning into them is picking them up. And it's like
Uh,
you're tuned in all the time. And so
yeah.
you're picking up all of these things, and you could be a vehicle. So they really want you to lean into joy as a way to express, like figure out what it is that's lighting you up, because you're very capable and you can do a lot of things. Um,
Yeah.
but it's that feeling of like, and they want to be distinguished between excitement and joy. Excitement because they can feel really similar, right? Because you get
Yeah.
excited by ideas, but joy is really the key for you because it's the sustaining part,
Yeah.
into having that
That is
discernment.
I've gotten that message before. So just
they're
to, I don't know, validate that or whatever.
they're reiterating in this moment to remind
Yeah.
you of that. Okay. And I see like a lot of times I see so much tension in people's shoulders and neck, but yours, like you must do a lot of practices with your body. I see that you do must
Yeah.
have some stretching practices and some really cultivation of that. So I want to acknowledge the work that you're doing there within your neck and jaw. If anything, I do see a little bit of like clenching that happens in your jaw. Um,
Yeah.
and that is an old pattern from childhood of a lot of like gritting your teeth and getting through things that you had to
Yep.
do. And it's yeah, because you do breath work, but it's like it's still that tight and that breathing, and then you consciously are like, I gotta breathe through it.
Yeah.
Right. Let me feel it. Okay, so that's not something that we need to work on. You're working on that already. Yeah, and they also want to show me how your third eye is really open. Um, and that visual stuff, like audio stuff, has been very present, but you're having an increase in the visual and the clairvoyance aspect of things.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's another layer that's coming in because you kind of mastered that clair audience and the sound portion of it, and so now it's like layering on top the visual aspect as well. Does this make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely. It started opening up with my eyes open rather than just
Oh,
with them closed, you know?
yeah, very cool. Another level. Um, okay. So let me look into the chest. And I love reading for people who do breath work because I see it in the rib cage, and I see that expansion within your rib cage, that really
Mm.
like openness that you have there, and flexibility. It's like this kind of, yeah, softening through that area. Let me take a look into the heart space. Okay. So there's two parts to the way they're showing, there's two parts to the heart, right? You have the vast majority of it is this really outward pouring of energy that we talked about, that's really beautiful, but there is this inner deep part that is tender, right? That has some inner deep wounding, that are still some things that you're processing, right? And it's almost
Yes.
like the way they're showing it to be is you will bring a little piece out, process it, and then kind of tuck the rest back in and bring the piece out and process it. And you're doing some beautiful work on that, but they are indicating this is something that we're going to work on in the healing portion. So we'll go
Okay.
into more detail at that point to see kind of what that is specifically related to, as that will probably be a little more personal.
Okay.
But I made a note of that here. But it feels like they're showing it to me at the very bottom, and that tells me it's kind of really deep and old, that it's been there a long time. Um, and they're showing me something really beautiful about that, in that it fuel the healing that you're doing through it. It so fuels the work that you're doing with your heart, like expansion, right? That you really use it as inspiration in such a beautiful way, to because it's like when we have those resonances of things that happen to us, we can very easily identify those resonances in other people, right? And so you immediately,
Yes.
like, you get in front of somebody and you're like, I feel you. Like,
Yeah.
I get it, right? um okay, so they're pulling me a little bit into the breast tissue specifically right now. Have you been having any tenderness or anything? I'm seeing almost like more on the sides and the bottom
Just like with my monthly cycle,
cycle. Okay.
um,
Um,
that
okay.
I've been conscious of.
Okay. And that's pretty normal for you to have. Um,
Yeah.
okay. Um, yeah, because I'm seeing almost some like pressure points with maybe some of the bras or the clothes that you're wearing at this time.
Oh.
So that might be something to look at adjusting, because I feel like over
Okay.
time that can create like stagnation in the lymphatic system.
Okay.
And so I just feel like, yeah, I'm seeing like right here on the sides, there's a little bit of pushing in that's not letting things flow as much as they would want to. So,
Okay. Oh, maybe like sports bra type.
uh-huh. They were showing me
Okay.
sports bras, if that makes sense.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I
Do you wear a
usually
lot
wear
of sports bras?
wireless. Somewhat. Because I mean, I also teach yoga.
Oh, yeah.
So
Hmm. Yeah,
yeah.
totally. And they're very practical, but some of them, there's like a compression aspect that I think is,
Yeah.
um,
Okay.
yeah, that might be into looking to. And I think, yeah, it feels like some of them are a little maybe older that you've had for a while. And so they're like pressing, and they're not as supportive, and they're just pressing.
Oh.
Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's something to look into, because it's just, yeah, keep that lymphatic flow going. I'm not seeing like
Okay.
yet an issue, right? But over time that could be something
Okay.
that comes up.
Got it.
And okay, I'm pulling me into the left elbow. I'm feeling a little bit something that's kind of like feels like an old injury that kind of comes up every once in a while. Have you had anything happen? It feels almost like tendonitis or something, like that achy,
I
tingly
have
feeling.
tennis elbow, but in my right
Oh,
elbow several
interesting.
years ago.
Okay,
Let me
that's
think
so
about the
interesting.
left.
I'm, is the right? No, they're also telling me the left one. That's interesting.
Okay.
Um, Your circulation is really good though, so I'm not sensing like that. I'd say you run damp and warm rather than cold on a regular basis. But we'll see more when you get to the digestive system. But I do feel like you're very well
Okay.
hydrated so far in what we've gotten to with the tissues. Um, but if anything, your hands get a little bit cold, more than anything, and
Yes.
that could be seasonal at this time. But they get like the crackly joints. Oh, that's interesting. It's like, because a lot of times I'll see energy flowing out the hands with, people who have really healing kind of energy, but it's like your energy flows out here and out your heart more than
Uh,
your hands. It's really coming out the voice. Okay, so let's go into some of the organ systems. Look at lungs. Beautiful, beautiful lungs. Very well. Yeah, you take really good care of them. I'd say if anything, you might get some like dust can really irritate, or seasonal
yeah.
allergies as
Yes.
well. Um, So that's just something that it's not currently a pattern, but it's something that you're really sensitive to those things happening and getting that kicked up a little bit. Um,
Yeah.
did you have asthma as a kid or something? Like it's not current, but it was past?
I've had allergies my whole life, and then I had walking pneumonia in about, I think, 2012.
Okay.
And I needed an inhaler every once in a while. And then
Okay.
when I got COVID in 2021 or 2, I
Mm-hmm.
think it may have given me asthma that I
Okay.
notice when I'm exerting, like physical exertion.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm
Yeah.
not sure. I haven't gotten it confirmed.
Yeah, because it doesn't feel like it's present all the time, but it's like
Yeah.
there's an echo of that pattern, um, of
Yeah.
it just being your lungs are just sensitive to environmental influences a lot.
Yeah.
Grief there, no. Okay. And then let me look at digestive system. Wow, your stomach is like you have very strong digestive fire, and I say I like don't see that very often. It'd be that fire. It's like very very on. Like let me feel into that a little bit, and it doesn't feel like it's too much. So sometimes when I see like strong digestive fire, it's like so much, like to the point where it's overwhelming to that person. But I feel like it's just your metabolism is really strong. You just like burn energy really well and very efficiently.
Mm,
If anything, you might get a little like heartburn and gas sometimes, but you're very careful with your diet because you see that happens, right? Um,
yeah.
yeah. And did you recently
Try
have
to be
lunch?
very careful.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
So that's why it's like on, right? So it's
Yeah,
working
I
hard.
literally just ate like right before.
Okay, great. And you're somebody that can do like you can do vegetables, although you can do raw vegetable, you can do salads. Like salads do really good for you, I would say, except in like the middle of the winter when it's really cold. You can
Oh,
really
okay.
do, yeah, you have a strong a lot of times when people have a weaker digestive system, I recommend against raw food, but I feel like that does fine for you. Is there anything that you should eat? Do you do animal proteins?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, fish is great for you. I would say red
Okay.
meat doesn't sit as well. It tends to be. It can be a little bit irritating to you, but it depends on the quality of the red meat. I would go lamb is a little better than beef for you. Um,
I'm very picky with red meat.
okay, good.
I only I only eat either filet mignon or like very, 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 very lean ground beef.
Oh,
Those are
beautiful.
the only.
Okay, great. So you're tuned into that. Yeah. Um, Chicken's a little iffy too. So chicken in this country is
Oh,
really it's highly processed just because to like keep chickens alive in mass quantities, they need a
yeah.
lot of stuff. And so a lot of chicken is really irritating to people with sensitive kind of systems. Um
Okay.
so it's not like a total no. There's putting duck is even better, right? If you do duck, because it's a little bit hardier and it's not as common, right?
Okay.
So it's not like mass produced. But
Okay.
I'm seeing like chicken, yeah, can be really irritating. And it's almost like you'll eat a meal and there'll be like a little something off. And you're like, I don't know why my
Yeah.
digestion, it's not like 100, you don't feel like super bad, but there's just something off. And sometimes that's because of the chicken. So
Oh,
that might be something to be really careful about sourcing. Eggs are great. Your body loves eggs. Do
okay.
you do a lot of eggs? Am I seeing that?
I go through phases, but
Okay.
yeah, I had eggs the past couple days. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Is there anything irritating? Wheat. I feel like you don't. Do you already off wheat?
I'm not off it, but I know my
Okay.
body doesn't
You know
like
you don't like
it.
it. Yeah. Same. Yeah, I feel like it's really hard to give up, but yeah, it definitely will irritate. It irritates. I can see that. And anything else that's really nightshades can be a little tricky too. So tomatoes,
Okay.
potatoes, um,
Oh,
peppers can be a little irritating. If you're going to do tomatoes, they're saying like cooked. Cooked is a totally different experience than raw. Um,
yeah.
because it's just
Yeah, I
it's
don't like raw. I don't like regular tomatoes. I only
okay.
like them in sauce. So,
The
so that
perfect you're already there.
of course.
And if you're gonna do potatoes, like red potatoes tend to act more like less like a starch and more
Oh.
like a vegetable for
Oh, okay.
digestion.
Okay.
And they're saying corn as well is an irritant. So
Okay.
that's something to look into. All right. Yeah, your digestion is so good. Um, look at kidneys. Kidneys are humming along. I do see that the adrenals are a little on right now. They're a little high.
Hmm.
Are you in? It's just there's like a high stress stuff that's going on, or just you tend. Oh, they're saying that you tend to just kind of run like that. Yeah. Um,
Yeah, I think, yeah.
yeah, and they're saying this is also a pattern that we're going to look at in the healing portion, because this is like
Yeah.
this is a pattern from childhood of kind of like a survival
Yes.
mechanism of being
100%.
vigilant. Yeah, being vigilant, and they're saying particularly vigilant to other people's emotional states.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
yeah, and so you kind of it makes you really good at like feeling into people now, right? And but it's you're just on all the time, and that also is like feeding into the sleep thing, and like the collective in general right now was like kind of wackadoo, so like you're
Yeah.
you're picking up on that, and that's also your nervous system is like I have to pay attention, right? There's so much going on.
Yeah.
So we're gonna look at that. Let me look at digestive system. Yeah, it's moving real fast. If anything, it's almost like too fast. Like stuff moves like through you so quickly. Um,
Yep.
that almost sometimes there's like it's like you want to slow it down so that there's more absorption happening with digestive system. So I
Mm,
would recommend if you can add in some fiber to your diet.
okay.
Let me look at legumes for you. Yeah, beans generally good. Yeah, do you do beans?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So adding in some more beans, some more like um yeah, soluble and insoluble fiber, maybe adding some like chia seeds to your water.
Okay.
Just getting some
Yeah.
extra sources of fiber just to give bulk to slow things down. To give
Okay.
it just more time to sit in there for absorption. It's not something that, is a big problem, I would say, but just yeah, that's the one thing with your digestion. Um no. Pancreas. Okay, let me look at liver. So, liver governs the emotion of anger, and they're showing me an interesting pattern with your relationship to anger. And it's almost like you go through these phases where sometimes you're fine with anger and your own anger and expressing it. And then there's other times when like these other old patterns creep in and you're like, was I mean? Oh, I shouldn't have like been so big with that, right? And
Mm,
it's like, and it goes
hmm.
in these waves of your healing, right? And then suddenly you have this like righteous anger and you're like, yeah, like, it's okay to feel this. And they're showing this particular when it's about you, you're really good at like protecting other people and being angry on the behalf of other people. But when it's your own boundaries that are getting pushed on, it gets a little bit
Yeah.
more complicated for you to understand exactly how to respond. Does this make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
100%.
Um,
Yeah.
and so they're telling me that this is something that you're working on your own. So it's not something we're going to look at in the healing portion, but it's just something to kind of recognize that you go through these patterns and to have curiosity about it, because they're almost saying there's like this judgment piece that comes into when you're not able to protect yourself in the way that you want to, that then you're like, oh, I
Yeah.
should have done this or I should have done that. And they want you to have a little bit more curiosity about this process and just give yourself a little more grace as you go through these ebbs and flows. They're also saying it has to do with your cycle. And when your cycle is like, at
Uh,
different places, you have a different relationship with your anger. So just noticing
yeah.
that as well.
Okay.
Does it make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Um, Can add into hips. You have good hips, very flexible. I feel like you're very flexible in the hips, especially, and that's something that you've cultivated. Um, it's almost like one side is higher up than the other. Do you ever experience
Mhm.
that where they're a little tilted?
I don't know about the height, but I do feel some sort of constriction in the right hip,
Okay.
if that makes
Um,
sense.
yeah, so let me look a little more deeply in that. Mhm. Yeah, it's like those muscles tighten up And this is a pattern bringing this to the adrenal kind of pattern of that fear thing
Yeah.
that we talked about, of like just being vigilant. And it's almost like that's your body's response. It's on the right side because you're like, I need to be ready to run, or I need to be ready, right? It's that fight or
Yes.
flight mechanism. And so it's not actually coming from the hip itself, it's coming from that, just that body's readiness to respond. Um,
Yeah, I
and
noticed the right quad engaging as well.
mhm. And so that is, yeah, I would when that happens and you feel it acutely, I would, get a little curious and be like, what was I just thinking about? What was I just like,
Mm,
what just occurred in my life? And kind of, you have tools for working with that energy, and um, just kind of noticing how that's showing up. Um,
okay.
they're saying it's also a sign of when you're overgiving, and you're overgiving across your boundaries um, as
Okay.
well. So noticing that. Um, and they're bringing it up again, but like, you think about the word responsibility, and it's, if you break it down, it's the ability to respond appropriately in a given situation, right? And so trusting that you know how to respond properly, like, yeah, because they're bringing it up as like a little bit of self-doubt, of like, I'm in an knowing if you need to run or something, right? Like knowing if you're having the right fight or flight reaction to something as well,
Okay.
if that makes sense. Okay. Reproductive. Okay. Does your cycle fluctuate a lot? Is it like strong sometimes and then it's like
Um, kind of. It's a bit on the short side,
mm,
and like 21 to 25 days, and it'll be like 3 days of the
mm-hmm.
bleed, then 1 day off, and then the fifth day a little bit more bleeding, which is weird
Oh,
that there's a
interesting. Yeah.
break.
Mm-hmm.
Um, in the past, it fluctuated a lot more. In the past
Mm-hmm.
year or so, it's kind of regulated in that way. But in the
Mm-hmm.
past, yeah, it was wildly, like from 20 to 35 days when I was in my 20s.
Yeah, because it's coming up as like this almost like puffy energy. So that makes sense that it's not like, it's shorter and lighter. Let me feel into that a little bit. Um, yeah, they keep talking about like blood building. So I don't know if you've ever seen like an acupuncturist or a Chinese medicine person, um, but
Hmm.
they're really great at the blood building aspect of things, of kind of like
Okay.
fortifying that. And I'm not seeing like exactly an iron deficiency, but there's just a little bit like you could have more. And I think this is connected to the absorption pattern that we were looking at in your digestive system, of just things are
Okay.
moving so quickly, you're not always getting all the iron out of things so you might want to consider supplementation on that. Um,
Okay.
yeah, because it just feels like it could use a little more fortitude. I feel like you're good with like eating iron rich foods, but it's just the absorption part that's coming through. Um, hmm. And the way they're putting it also is like with you, because I was asking about, why it's coming back on that fifth day. And they're almost saying like you're also a slow processor. Like in a way, like your digestion's really fast, but in a way
Yes.
you, especially with like emotional things, you really take your time to figure out how you feel about things. And that's kind of, and your cycle kind of is mirroring that in its own way. um,
Okay.
and you're slow with like relationship building, like with other people you are careful around
Yeah.
how you engage with them, how much you share. And it's like, that's right near our second chakra, which is a lot about relating to other people. And so that's kind of being mirrored in your cycle as well. um so it's more like a you pattern than it being something going on, right?
Yeah.
um And very strong legs, very lean, muscular legs. And I know you mentioned yoga, but I'm just seeing that in the pattern. Um, knees can get crackly like your hands do as well. And they're almost feeling like they like slip out, or there's something like with slipping a little bit with those joints sometimes, or do they twist really easily? What am I seeing there? Your
Um,
knees.
I'm not sure how I would describe it. Every once in a while, the left knee flares with pain.
Mm,
And then sometimes it's more like if I'm walking uphill, it's like the kneecap.
mm. Oh,
I don't
interesting.
know.
Okay. Let me look at
Um,
that left one particularly. Let's see what's going on. They're showing me there's this like your left foot turns under a little bit. Like your left, the way
okay.
that it just sits is a little bit like curves under and curls under, and it's kind of almost like a protection. They're saying you had this from like a baby. It's like this curling in thing. Um and that's so sometimes you just, especially when you're walking uphill, instead of your foot being straight, it's kind of like tilted in, and that's
Okay.
irritating the kneecap. Um,
Mm,
do they recommend anything around? They're showing like those, when you like rotate your feet, like those kind of motions, like doing a lot of that.
okay.
They're also saying there's like some of the shoes you use for hiking. If you do a hiking, they're a little bit worn down because of that pattern that you've done for a long time. So you might want to
Okay.
consider finding something, because I'm seeing. Do you like really lightweight shoes or something? Because I'm seeing like you don't like a lot of like a hiking boot is like not your jam or what?
Okay, this is kind of a weird thing, but I have like 8 pairs of hiking shoes. Um, so I vary, but I tend to
Mm-hmm.
prefer, yeah, the more light ones. But I do
Yeah.
have some that are heavy duty,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't love those
Yeah.
because
They
they're
restrict your
just so,
movement, right? And you like to be
yeah,
able to kind of like adjust things, right? So yeah,
yeah.
your body likes the lighter weight ones for sure. Um,
Okay,
but something about, yeah, there's just like it's like a leaning to the left a little bit. And so it just kind of tweaks that knee. So yeah, just
okay,
noticing with that. It's
okay.
yeah.
And my left foot is a half size bigger than the right. I
Oh,
don't know if that does it
interesting.
too.
Oh, I mean, that must be hard for finding shoes sometimes, right?
I just go for the bigger size. But once I discovered that, I was like, oh, that's why it's so hard for me to decide which size. Okay.
That's interesting. Oh, that's interesting. I wonder if let me see if that's connected. Nope, they're like, that's
Okay.
just, it's funny. They're actually relating it to you having like a really big heart, right? Because a lot of stuff on the left side is
Mm.
kind of connected to the heart. And so they're saying like, that's just kind of how you were made because you have a big heart. So interesting. Um, and you're very grounded. I'm seeing that you have a lot of good grounding practices, because you're not kind of like some people are like floating a couple inches off the ground, but you're really you're here on earth. Yeah, which is really great. Okay, I'm going to pause there and check in and see if there's any areas that I didn't cover that you wanted more information on, or anything that um I didn't get to that you had a question
um,
about.
well, thinking of like the right hip stuff reminded me also my right shoulder sometimes has a little
Mm,
bit of something
let me take a look
there.
into that. Yeah, I'm seeing it's like into that joint and kind of the tendons.
Yeah.
It's really tendons, and it's more than anything in it, the ligaments as well. Um,
Okay.
they're saying it's like there was an acute injury that you kind of didn't fully notice or register as an injury at the time. Um,
Uh,
and it was around when you were like really training yoga like intensively. There was a period where you were like, it was maybe teacher training or something like that. And
yeah.
you weren't at that time, you weren't as attuned into your actual physical body. And you were coming at it
Yeah.
from this like, I'm gonna push through, I'm gonna be like, because there was like a time pressure thing or something with it as well. Does this make sense? Yeah. And so
Yeah.
you were like, I'm gonna get it done. And it was like a twinge. And so it kind of just tweaked it to a little bit. And ligaments and tendons take a really long time to heal.
Okay.
And it's, again, when you overdo it, it flares up. Yeah.
Okay.
Does that make
It was
sense to you?
definitely overdoing. Yeah,
Okay.
like all the chaturangas and power yoga and all that went in the beginning. And now I've switched, like I love teaching like gentle and chair yoga.
Mhm. And I
But
don't know if there was like, because they're bringing up like if there was like a heated class, because sometimes when it's heated, right, people kind of push themselves to do things that their
yes.
body wouldn't always do. So
Yeah.
they're almost showing it was kind of like related to that. And it wasn't, the injury itself wasn't
Okay.
so bad, but it was the like pushing through it that,
Okay.
um, yeah, that kind of created that pattern. Um, and it gets, when it's cold, when the shoulder's cold, it will come back. And when you're overdoing it with stuff, um,
Okay.
yeah, but you're supporting. I'm not seeing a pattern of there being like stagnant energy. It's just kind of like the way they're showing. It's almost like it's a kind of an echo of that injury, just kind of resonant in the tissues. If that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah.
Um, okay, great. Any other questions before we switch gears?
Not that I can think of.
Okay, beautiful. All right, so now we're going to move into the healing portion of things. Following the assessment, we end the session with a healing where we unpack the root causes of the stagnant energies that were surfaced during the walkthrough of the body and systems. The information quickly gets very personal and detailed, so in order to maintain the privacy and anonymity of my participants, I don't share these sections on the podcast. They're also not ideal for an audio format, as they often include long stretches of silence while we work with visualizations, meditations, and other kinds of energy work. Thanks for listening to Medical Intuition Illuminated. If this episode resonated, be sure to subscribe and share it with someone who might benefit. Special thanks to Derek Ryan for music. Until next time, listen deeply to the wisdom of your body.
So